It feels like chess has been around my whole life, and indeed its origins date back to the 6th century in India. Versions of it have been made through the many different periods of retro gaming, from 1K chess on the ZX81 to battle chess on the early PC and other platforms. It has been well covered. It had versions on consoles in the 90s. There have been dedicated chess computers created since the 70s. Even Apple had their own version of chess with Apple Chess on the early Mac. But it was something I'd never tried to program myself. While I didn't want to spend weeks writing my own chess program, which might not be any better than even 1K chess on the ZX81, I thought it would be fun to have a play with it. So in the era of AI, I turned to AI to help me build a version. Love or hate it, AI is here to stay, and if you're working writing commercial programs, it's something that's hard to get away from. Perhaps if your focus is retro gaming, it's still possible to work without it, because today AI is very bad at assembler language, and some of the older programming languages retro games are created with. I can see a time when hand coding might be a rare craft people engage in just for fun. Not everything has to follow the software industry, and I still enjoy hand coding CSS myself, which AI seems to be quite bad at. But back to chess. I decided my version of chess would be React based, so it could run on the web, and I enlisted Copilot's help to create a framework. I asked it to create a version of chess, and what it came up with was a bit of a mess. It looked pretty bad, but did seem to be playable. Unfortunately, I didn't take a screenshot of how it looked to start with, so this was going to need some work. First, I asked it to use chess pieces instead of letters. Unicode as characters for chess pieces, and these looked a lot better. The way the board was laid out wasn't great either, and when I asked the AI to improve it, it didn't do a very good job. I hand-coded the CSS to get it looking more like what I wanted. There was a reset button which I left in as this is needed. There was a move history below the board which also looked a mess. I moved it to the right of the board and worked on how it looked. I quite liked the feature and decided to keep it. I asked the AI to use figurine notation in the move history, which instead of using a letter for the piece, added a small Unicode graphic for the piece similar to those used on the board. It also had indicators on the board which showed what the legal moves were for the player. I quite liked this and left it in. I asked it to add letters along the bottom of the board and numbers up the side to show which square was chosen when making a move. The game was fully manual at this point, so you had to make a move with white, and the computer didn't respond for black. You had to do it yourself, so you were playing yourself. I asked Copilot to add a feature where the computer could play black. It did this, adding a black auto button, and while it worked, its algorithm for choosing its move was very poor. The moves it made were legal, but it was just picking a move at random from the list of moves that were available. So for example, if I went on a rampage with my queen, it wouldn't take it off even when it clearly should do. In terms of the code, the game is a single React app. The main UI and game logic live in a React app.jsx file. I've used the chess.js JavaScript library for board rules and move validation. Then the CSS for the game is in app.css. So that's where I got to with this first iteration of the game. The next step is to include Black's responses, and there are a few ways I can do this, but that will be for another video. I heard there's a version of chess coming out for the Spectrum next, and I'm waiting for this with interest, possibly to be released at the same time as Kickstarter 3. Hope that was interesting, and thanks for watching.